Hey, what's going on? What's popping? What's popping, people? Yeah, so I found out earlier today that a long time content creator in these so-called black YouTube streets or these so-called black Manosphere streets passed away, which is David Carroll. Yeah, so by now most of you already heard of that David Carroll passed. So this video is dedicated to him. So I would like to give a rest in power to David Carroll and my condolences to his family. So it's been reported by his sister. His sister has a Facebook account, and on her Facebook account, she reported that David Carroll passed away. As a matter of fact, he passed away. Well, that post that her sister put on her Facebook is about 5 days old. So today, right now, today is Tuesday. Yeah, at the time that I'm doing this live, today is Tuesday, December 21st, 2021, which is the first day of winter. That post that David Carroll's sister put on Facebook when she spoke about her brother passing away was on the 17th of December, 2021, which was on a Friday. So that post, once again, it was posted this past Friday, but as far as I don't know when exactly he died, so I'm assuming he died around that time. And so far, nobody knows what he passed away from, unless if anybody that's watching can tell me in the comment section. So the only thing, so the only knowledge I have is that the David Carroll, Uncle David Carroll, passed away. So once again, I'd like to give a rest in peace to him or rest in power to him. Now I prefer to say. Now for those of you who wasn't familiar with David Carroll, is that David Carroll was a black male content creator who actually came to this space a little bit after the 1.0 era. Now, if you guys follow my video series called The History of the Black Manosphere, I briefly mentioned a generation of Black Manosphere content creators that I nicknamed Black Manosphere 1.5, if there was a such thing. Because there was a generation of content creators that came a little bit after us 1.0 generation, but before the 2.0 generation. And David Carroll fit right in there. Black Mansfield 1.5, if there was such a thing. He came around a time with the Tommy Sotomayor's, Black Ram 313, Mad Voodoo Man, what's this guy's Avenue Rants. David Carroll came to YouTube around that time. And and of course, he made videos critiquing the bad behavior of the so-called black female and what have you. And he also, but gotta give him this credit. He also evened the playing field by making even more videos critiquing the so-called black male. So, and his bad behaviors. So he made a lot of social. Basically, most of his videos is based on social commentary about the state of so-called Black America. And some things I agreed with him on, and some things I didn't. He believed in the bell curve theory. Now, for those of you guys who are not aware of the bell curve theory, the bell curve theory was the theories created by what I consider a very racist scientist who believed that he went upon that belief that So-called black people were genetically were genetically built to be stupid and unintelligent, and he created a chart where there was a bell curve when it comes to the intelligence of black people, and David Carroll believed in that theory, in which I disagree with him on that theory. I don't think that we're inherently stupid. I think that, of course, I think that so-called black people, especially in America, was put in an environment where we don't value education. Unfortunately, where we don't value being small, where we was raised in an environment where no, excuse me, where we was raised in an environment, no, see, where we was raised in a culture, excuse me, in a culture where it's not cool to be educated or be intelligent, and also so-called black people a lot of times is raised in an environment where they have mediocre education due to the lack of funding in inner city schools. Thus, they don't receive the necessary education that they need to prepare themselves for college and the real world. So, therefore, we're not inherently dumb. I think that culturally and environment wise, we lack certain things that prepare us for the real world in order to compete in the world. And there's so much evidence to prove this. Meanwhile, there's not enough evidence to prove that the bell curve theory is actually correct. But nonetheless, I don't want to derail to that topic with the bell curve theory. But that's what David Carroll believed, in which I disagree with him on that. But nonetheless, regardless of my agreements or disagreements with David Carroll, the fact of the matter is he did contribute a lot to the space, and he did have a lot of a lot of knowledge in the political field, in the political realm. But one thing I can respect with David Carroll is that he did not he did not hop on this fake conservative bandwagon that a lot of people in the manosphere hopped on during 2016 when Donald Trump was running for president. David Carroll had enough political know-how to understand that, okay, uh, that that school of thought is not really going to benefit so-called black males, with no disrespect to brothers who are conservatives. But I credit him for that. So there was a lot of things I agree with him on. There was a lot of things that I disagree with him on. But nonetheless, he was a cool, solid brother. He was a cool, solid brother. And regardless of how much we agree or how much we disagree with people, but when someone passes, we have to give them their respects. And one thing we have to learn in this space is how to disagree and still have respect for one another. And it's possible. And at one point in time in this space, we had that attitude where, although we disagree with each other, we still respect one another. So, yeah, man, rest in power to David Carroll. Oh, and for those of you that don't know, I believe, and I still believe to this day, that me and David Carroll spoke on the phone in 2012. You know, well, during during my height, when I was very popular, when I was a very popular content creator in this space, I gave out my phone number for those who wanted to call me and speak to me. I had a public phone number and gave it out for, so anyone that want to call me, they can speak to me. And in 2012, David Carroll, I believe it was David Carroll who called me, because I remembered his voice, and I'm very good with voices. Because David Carroll, he had a very distinct voice, and I remember me and him, we spoke on the phone for like maybe 2 hours. It had to be him. because I remember he was one of the first people. Because at that time, especially during like my heyday on YouTube, I was speaking about so-called black males being economically independent, being economically self-reliant, being politically self-reliant, socially, basically black males having their own socio-economic independence and not being reliant on anybody. And I still believe in that, right? And I believed in, well, I still do believe in black America being economically self-sufficient. So when David Carroll, when he called me, he was calling me to, disagree with some of the things that I said. And then he said, you said, brother, you talk about building the black community. Let me ask you something. What community? He said, what community? He said, David is finally resting in peace. What you mean finally? What's up, Iori? Iori, a content creator by the name of David Carroll, passed away a few days ago. Yeah. Yeah. He said he's finally resting in peace. Oh, shoot. Yeah. More money in the bank. Oh, he out of there. Yeah. More money in bank. I don't know if you being funny or what, but anyhow, let me go on. Yeah. So he spoke to me on the phone. He said, what community? And he was basically speaking about how the certain internal issues that Black America has was what prevents so-called Black people in America to come together to be economically self-sufficient. And I understood where he was coming from. I understood, to his knowledge or to his opinion, he believed that what I was stating about so-called Black people, especially so-called Black males, being self-sufficient will never ever happen. Will never ever happen. But that's his opinion. But we had such an interesting talk because he went into speaking about his life and how he grew up and what have you. And I believe that was him. He didn't tell me his name at that time. Or I guess I didn't bother asking for his name because when I had the phone number, so many people was calling me. So many people called me. And I believe that was him. Because once again, I remember his voice. So we had a very long and interesting conversation. But yeah, if that was him, like I said, to my belief, I believe that was him. Yeah. But right. Yeah. I remember your name. More money in the bank. I remember you. What's going on, Stoic One? Yeah. Yeah. And so the thing is that we have to appreciate life while we still have it, live to the best of our abilities, because once it's time for us to leave this earth, we're not coming back. We're not coming back. So we only have one life to live, and we have to live it to the best of our abilities. Yeah, man. David Carroll, he passed away. It's unknown so far. Thus far, it is unknown as far as exactly what he passed away from. His cause of death is unknown. The exact day that he passed away so far is unknown. The only source that I have is a Facebook post from his sister who reported that he passed away. And that's really it. That's so the only news that I receive is that he passed away. Yeah. And it wasn't that long ago since he made I remember one of his last videos he made about last month. You know, And a lot of things he said made a lot of sense when you speak about the psychology of so-called black people. See, that's one thing I like about David Carroll is that he spoke a lot about the psychology of so-called black people. He went into the psychological aspect of the current state of black people, so-called black people in America for the most part, in which a lot of people in this space don't focus on. A lot of people in this space just focus on some low level shit like, well, you know, this person is choose to have sexual intercourse with that type of person, and that type of person choose to have sexual intercourse with this type of person. Nah. David Carroll went deep inside the psyche of so-called black males and females to act and then decipher why they act the way that they do and how this type of psyche was implanted into the minds of so-called black people. He even spoke about environmental factors also. But like I said, one of my biggest disagreements with David Carroll was his belief in the bell curve theory, in which I disagree with that theory. I don't believe that theory is real. Yeah. Based on what I heard, David Carroll was supposed to do an interview with the Village Arsonist. You know, some of you are aware of a content creator by the name of the Village Arsonist. You know, he's a content creator in this space. So he was supposed to have an interview with David Carroll. And unfortunately, you know, David Carroll met his demise, unfortunately. But so I'm going to end this by giving a moment of silence or just giving a moment in dedication to David Carroll. You know, so when people leave this earth, they deserve their moment. So what I'm going to do, I'm going once again, I'm going to I'm going on my fault. I accidentally press pause, press mute. So like I said, so right now let's dedicate this moment to David Carroll. You might as well say he's the uncle or the godfather of the so-called black manosphere. So let's give him this moment right now. Yeah. Now that's how you give your condolences to someone who passed. That moment of silence stuff, to me, it's played out. To me, it's played out, man. You got to give some beautiful music, to uh venerate or pay your respects to someone who passed. You know, you can't have, because the thing is, I don't know, in my this is my belief. Well, I do know. I sarcastically said I don't know. I do know. So this is the way I look at it. You know, when someone passes, we should not sit here and just be sad and just feel low. I mean, it's understandable that when someone passes and somebody that we may love or we may hold dear to us is no longer here with us, of course, we're going to miss that person. So that's the sad part. But the happy part is that when someone leaves this earth, they're free. They're free. So we have to celebrate that. Their spirit is free. They're in a better place. They're not in this hellhole. So we have to celebrate that, man. So when we give a moment for the deceased, instead of giving a moment of silence and be sad, we got to rock on. Play some music. Play some music. Be joyful. Let the spirit of the person that passed away, let that person know that, what, when you was in this earth, you was impactful, and when you left with a bang. So we're gonna so we're gonna celebrate you. We're not gonna sit there and be sad and cry and be depressed. So no, we're gonna celebrate that your spirit is free and in the next realm. That's my belief. So when we give a moment, instead of giving that moment of silence, if we're going to give a moment and pay our respects, let's pay our respects by putting some great music, party on, rock on. We're going to celebrate you. Not having this moment of silence and having a whole depressing environment where we feel depressed. Nah, man, your spirit is free. So we're going to celebrate your freedom. For real. Because listen, the day I pass, the day I leave this earth, that's how I want people to pay respects to me. I want people to pay respects to me by partying, rocking on, and knowing that I'm in a better place and I'm doing all right, and that we're going to meet at the other side. I don't want people to sit down and cry for me and be all sad. Nah, be happy, man. Be happy. Rock on. Rock on. Understanding I'm all right. I'm in a better place. I'm all right. And I'll be looking down at you talking about, yeah, man, I want to see you do good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's my nigga right here. He made it. Okay. Shit. Word up. Yeah, what's going on, Pure Butterfly Spirit? Yeah. Yes. According to David Carroll's sister made a Facebook post a couple of days ago stating that he passed away. So according to his sister, yes, he passed away. What's going on, Lady A? Yeah. Yeah, salute to him. You know, when we that I believe that when we show respect to the dead, yeah, we gotta, of course, show a bit of reverence, but at the same time, we have to give joy. You know, but that person is in a better place. So rock on, David Carroll. You're in a better place. Rest in power.